Hello and welcome everyone. And a special hello to this week's WilRise guest captain is Stephanie Herrera. Hi, Steph.
Hi, Dawn. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
So glad to have you. Stephanie is the president and founder of EH2O Marine Business Solutions. And EH2O, and you can kind of get that water right in there, right? H2O and marine. So we have a clue of what we might be learning from you today. EH2O Marine Business Solutions focuses on empowering boat dealers and their business managers to enhance their closing practices through industry's best practices. And wow, this has been a business you launched and you founded like a year plus ago, a year and a half ago, Steph?
Yeah, I would love to tell you a little bit more about what I do. We actually just celebrated a 3-year anniversary of when the idea began. But like you stated, the business full time has been, a full time dedication on my part for the last year and a half, a little bit over a year.
Wow.
And it's been an amazing journey. Uh, I started in the boating industry when I was the age of 18. It was my first real big girl job in corporate America. And I was actually just looking for a job to get me through college. And I joined a company which is very well known in the industry. They're actually one of the top leaders in the boating industry as their receptionist. And from there, I continued moving up in the company. I started doing more administrative responsibilities. I then got into title work. I was helping with the HR division. There was even a time where my sole job was to make boat names and install them on boats.
Boat names? Is that
Yes,
what you said?
yes.
Well, and Steph, let's just pause for a moment first, though. And so, like, you're telling us about how you got into this whole boating career and now how it's going to birth into your business. But why don't we just pause for a moment and make sure you first get to just introduce yourself a little bit, and how about I'll start with introducing myself too.
Yeah. Let's do that. Good idea.
But for all our guests on the call today, thanks for joining us. I am Dawn Yoder Graber, and I am the host of WilRise, Women in Leadership Rise, and also a consultant and a coach through Design Group International. And I support women and know Stephanie as this powerhouse woman. So I'm so glad to introduce you to all of our guests today. And I help rising women leaders unleash their full transforming influence in a yet gender biased world. So that's who I'm all about, and happy to be able to bring you here today, Steph. But tell us more. Tell us more about who you are and how did you, where do you hail from, and other parts of your story.
Yeah. So just to keep it short, I mean, I continued growing within the company. I wore many different hats. One of the things that has made me the strong woman that I am today is being able to, I would say, survive the recession as we all felt back in 2008, 2009. And now I look back at it as the biggest blessing of my life because it was a time where one person had to, again, wear many hats and kind of help the company survive, keep the lights on in many different aspects. And that is when I had the opportunity to really make an impact in the closing operations of the company. So whenever a customer would come in, they were interested in purchasing a vessel, who was the person that was handling the paperwork, helping them with payment options, all the legalities that come behind all of that, make sure that you're running your closing operations compliantly, dot the I's and cross the T's. And I love paperwork. I love organization.
Okay.
I love seeing things come together. And that is how I started in the closing operations and in the boating industry.
So you started naming boats, you told us at one point. Did you always enjoy the water or boats, or like why marine industry? I don't know anyone other than you as a woman in the marine industry.
Well, I wish I could tell you that I grew up on boats. I did not. I grew up very humbly in a very small country in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
In the farmland. A boat to us was like a little piece of wood. You go to the beach, you go out and play. It's man-made, and I actually played a part in helping our customers pick their boat name, but they picked their own boat. Of course, you would want them to name their own boat. The major part that I played was actually making the boat name, in vinyl material, and then making sure that it was installed on the vessel before they took delivery of their vessel.
But then you got to all this interest in closing and that sort of
Mhm.
thing, which is
Yeah.
now bloomed into your business. Do you
Yeah.
want to tell us about that now?
Yeah,
How did
yeah,
you
and
start?
actually, I mean, it's all a part of the excitement of purchasing your boat and naming it, but there are also some requirements. Sometimes, depending on how you would like to register your vessel, you may be required by the Coast Guard to name your boat. So that also plays a part in the closing operations of in the boating industry. But I had the opportunity to lead the closing operations. Most of my career has been in the state of Florida, and I've worked at Clearwater, Florida. Then I took the leap and took an opportunity in South Florida. And that's where I really learned how to put my big girl pants on. You work with different personalities, you work with different people around the world, and I just absolutely love connecting with people. Yes, there's a numbers aspect behind it, there's paperwork aspect of it, but what I enjoy most is just building rapport with customers. Every single customer is different, and then they just become a part of your family.
Oh, wow.
So as I was wrapping up my master's program, I did take some time off of work, and I was actually learned, I took entrepreneurship courses, I took leadership courses, and I kind of started learning how to build a business plan. And really, I came to the realization that there is a lot that I have to offer, not
Mhm.
just one company, but to just the boating industry as a whole. And honestly, even when I resigned from the company that I was at, I was still getting a lot of calls for help.
Oh,
And I was just like, okay, well, there's a cost to my services. So let me help you. Yeah, I'll be happy to help you with the paperwork. Here's my fee. Or you need advice on this, or you would like to, maybe instead of outsourcing the closing operations aspect of your business, you would like to maybe handle it in-house. I can help you with that.
Stephanie, you're saying a really important thing here that I think is good for all of us to be mindful of. Like, what do people ask for help from us about?
Mhm.
Like, what do people come to us and say, hey, could you help me? Or how did you do this? And I
Mhm.
hear you saying in your story, even though you were with this large marine organization, people were asking you particularly for individually, like, Steph, could you help us? Or what would you suggest here? So you were coming across with having this knowledge of
Mhm.
something that you could offer. Before we get further in your boating story, just thinking in terms of women business owners, we're all about at WilRise, how can we get wise? How can we be equipped so we can win? And what does win mean to each of us? So I wonder, in terms of just this being National Women's History Month, how did you show up being fully confident that I have some gifts I can unleash on the world that will be helpful, that also are enjoyable by me? I mean, that's just not an automatic for all people,
Mhm.
let alone women in leadership roles. But I hear you saying, and I've walked this with you, that I can do this. I have something to offer. I can start this business. People want and need my help. But I
Mhm.
wonder if there are persons in your past, be it women or men, that helped you become that confident person today. Can you
Yeah.
tell us anything about those influences?
Oh, yeah. I've had a lot of great influences. I've learned from a lot of different leaders, different perspectives, different personalities. And I think the older that I get and the longer time I work, I'm a part of corporate America. I have to say that my greatest inspiration is my mother.
Mhm.
And for a long time, this question comes up a lot. And for many, specifically women, their mother is their hero, but my mother and we've led very different lives. My
Okay.
mother has never worked in corporate America, so when I was asked that question, it was always kind of like, okay, who is a manager that I've had that I admire? Or I remember one of the first projects that I had when I moved from Puerto Rico to the United States, and I had to do a book report. It was on Amelia Earhart, and I just love Amelia Earhart. But as I develop and grow within the industry, I've also noticed that I've developed the tenacity and the refusal to back down, especially in challenging times. And those are traits that come from no one else but my mother. I've inherited her.
Can you
And
give us an example of something your mother did that's so inspirational to you or that taught you that tenacity? I love that word. You are a tenacious woman in leadership, and you are connecting some dots to what your mother modeled, even though her experience in corporate America was not what you're experiencing now.
yeah.
Tell us something more about your mom.
I will be happy. I mean, my mother is the type of person that whatever she thinks or whatever she believes in, she's going to speak, even if everyone else in the room may not share the same perspective. And I think that that is the perfect example, because with my mother, what you see is what you get. And sometimes, whether we do it intentionally or not, we may be kind of like molded to be, to look, to speak a certain way, maybe a cookie cutter way, where I feel like the reason that I've been so successful is because I finally am comfortable in my own skin. And I feel like my mother has always been very resilient. Life has not been easy for her. She's always had a determination that when you give her a mission, she's going to exhaust all options. And I've always been that way. And before, it was kind of like, wait, Steph, you're being too loud, or, people may want you to say what they want to hear.
Okay.
And it was something that I in the back of my mind, I always maybe thought a different way, but I was not confident in speaking up. And now I can say that I'm just extremely proud that I inherited those traits from her. Because
I love it. Have you told her that, Steph?
oh yes, yes. We recently, I mean, my mother and I, my mother is my hero. She's a single mother. She raised myself and my 4 siblings, and we recently celebrated our wedding, and it was really a moment where it's not just my mother, but my bridesmaids and everyone that was present, male or female, at our wedding. It just really, it's a moment that you realize just, wow, like your heart grows 10 times bigger because there's just so much love in the room, and they just love you for exactly who you are. Not to fail to mention my husband now. I mean, his vows, hasn't been a day that goes by that I don't look at the video with our vows. But yes, my mother and I had a very special moment through the get readies. And after the wedding, we were able to go for a nice walk, and I was able to express to her just how much she means to me, and just how proud I am to be her daughter. And that, I had this great plan to, this very creative bouquet toss that I was going to do for the ladies. And then my heart told me, that you need to dedicate your bouquet to your mother. And I just feel like that moment too was just another way of me appreciating everything that she's done to not only help me, but my siblings be who we are today.
Wow, what a tribute to your mom. And it's not even Mother's Day, but I hope she gets to hear this again and be reminded of your great appreciation for her. Stephanie, I heard you say you learned from your mom resilience, tenacity, or you said tenacious, determined, you said, to be able to speak your truth. And I heard you a few times say hero, and I wonder if I might just offer that she's a shero, as a she, right? A shero. So, and that has impacted you being able to speak your truth in industry today. Any
Yes.
particular bridge come to your mind of how that looks for you in work? A particular example or story?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of stories. I'm reminded of my mom in a lot of decisions that I make, whether it's how do I make that connection with a dealer and a vendor, or how can I maybe have someone that I'm coaching one-on-one how do I properly connect with them? How do I speak in their love language? And I feel like there's always there's a lot of voices. There's other people, again, like I mentioned, there's other people that have been extremely influential in my career. But I also, in times of when there may be a decision needs to be made in a group setting, and 9 out of 10 people believe one thing, and then I'm that one person that doesn't, I don't need to go along with the 10. It's okay just to speak my voice. As you know, we are both a part of a great organization, AAUW, which stands for American Association of University Women. And I must say, they are another source of my inspiration. And there are a lot of members in that group that are mostly retired now. And one of the things that I admire most about them is that they've all had very diverse experiences, but one thing that they have in common is that they believe in what they believe in, regardless of external influences. And I just feel like that has also been very inspirational to me. And being on the board of the Sarasota chapter, there are different and difficult conversations that we have to have. And they empower me to, again, speak my truth and maybe just share a different perspective. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Stephanie, I love this. And in organizational consulting or organizational development, there's so much of a need where I work with leaders to make sure that everybody's voice is heard, that there's equitable situations where people can speak. And what I think you're referring to is what's often commonly known as like group think, right? Whoever speaks first has the most influence, unless we're intentional about hearing everyone's voice or making sure we're looking at the situation from so many different angles. And so for you to be able to say, regardless of the potential of groupthink, where you're just like, oh yeah, that idea, and so-and-so said it, so it must therefore be a good idea. Well, no, I mean, we all need to be able to see the elephant from all sides, as the old proverb goes, right? And so I hear you saying that part of how you've gotten wise, this whole sense of be wise, is from your mom's example of this tenacity of being determined, of speaking her truth. And you can think how you've brought it into work with dealers. And then also even your example of being on the board of this important organization that works on gender equity issues, both locally and nationally. That's awesome. Be wise.
Thank you.
Yes, very good. Well, when you think about, you gave us those examples of like how you might be able to show up the way you're showing up based on who has resourced you in the past, where you've gained some wisdom. What else do you do today to be equipped? Like, I know you're an exerciser. We both like, certain amounts of exercise, to be able to just keep getting stronger in this gender biased world. I mean, what do you do to be able to just fully be a Stephanie Herrera, Captain is Stephanie Herrera, when you are calling these dealers, when you are in sales, when you also know you have something that can help them keep more money within house, right? I mean, that's what you're all about, trying to help them learn how to do this within house. How are you equipping yourself?
Like you say, I think when you make yourself a priority and make sure that you are healthy within, which may mean exercising. That's what works for me. And also my faith in God. God leads my path. I think that is the best way to be able to show up for others. And the best way that I show up, not only for myself and for others, is just by being my authentic self. I think it's important to, like I mentioned earlier on this live, avoid having to be cookie cutter. I think that approach, people can sense it, and we no longer are in that type of society. So by embracing and understanding yourself and just showing up your raw self, I think others appreciate that a lot. And I also make sure that when I am interacting with anyone, whether it's me presenting my services to them or honestly them coming to me, whether it's referral based or they found me on LinkedIn, I think it's important to speak the love language of those that are interested in your service.
How do you do that?
Well, it does take time. For example, there may be trainers out there, there may be consultants out there, and they may just have a booklet and they just hand it to you. And they're like, come to my little school for a week and I'm going to teach you everything you need to know. For me, the way that I do it is I take the time to schedule an in-person assessment. So no matter where they are in the world, and in Puerto Rico as well, just last week I was in Rhode Island, meeting with a new dealership who is interested in bringing the services in-house and just helping with their operations overall. And I take 1 or 2 days to meet with them in person. There's an excessive assessment that I conduct. It's like 9 pages long. And I ask questions not only for that individual that I'm going to be coaching one-on-one, but for any other individuals in the dealership that have an influence in how the department is going to be run. And I think that it gives me an opportunity to really get to know that person that I'm going to be coaching one-on-one, their personality, what is their bandwidth, what are their goals, what is their experience, and how they would like to be trained. And I think that being able to personalize that coaching is going to just help transform them. And it's going to be just a very successful transformation for long-term versus short-term success.
Right. Stephanie, I think you're a process consultant and you just don't know it. In the sense of you are being like really iterative in the sense, and you're uniquely seeing the needs of each potential customer, each potential client. And you're not just going in with one program, even though your program probably works 90% of the time across the board. But I hear you saying you're going in and uniquely touching the ball with the influencers and trying to meet their needs, their unique needs, which comes only by listening, by first seeing them as a human being, right? That has amazing gifts and a reason to be on this earth. And so you are very respectful in the way you show up with all people. I've seen you in operation for a few years, so I can attest to that. And then people seem to know, like, and trust you. I'm adding those 3 words to your business relationships as you show that you uniquely want to understand their needs and respond to their needs. Yeah. So
You explained it very well.
what is the gamut of how different both dealer offices can be? Is it just the same as anywhere we work, or people just show up with different personalities?
Yeah.
Or you said with?
Yeah, it's not just about the person you're coaching. It's also about, where is the dealership located? What kind of boating do their customers enjoy? What kind of brands do they represent? What is, again, the experience of the dealership? Do they have the bandwidth to be able to bring this project in-house? Because there are times where I have to say, this may not be a good match. We're not going to waste anyone's time, and maybe share some insights on how they can get to a level where we can come back and partner together. There's just a lot of different things, and every customer is different, so
if they sell boats, it's not just that easy. It's a sense of you have experience with which boats and which regions and what needs those might bubble up to the top in terms of the whole finance industry. Wow.
Yeah, and it's not just about offering financing or insurance. A lot of in the industry, in the auto industry, in the RV industry, in the boating industry, most of these individuals that I coach are referred to as finance managers. And these closing agents, I actually refrain from even being referred to as a manager or business manager. It's the closing agent. It's the person who handles all of the paperwork. And it's not just about, we're going to speak with you if you're financing a portion of your boat. No matter what payment method, if you want to pay cash, I know there's some dealers out there accepting cryptocurrency, whatever the case may be, it's just about the process as a whole. There are options that are available for the customer depending on where they're going to be boating or the type of vessel that they're purchasing. There are ways that they can protect it. There's items that they need to be made aware of, to make sure that all of the options are laid out there for them. And it's all about the full closing experience, from the moment that they show interest on the vessel all the way to delivery date and beyond. And I'm just happy to be a part of that entire process.
Well, you have said a lot here, Steph. See if I can just capture at least partially. some of the ways that you keep yourself equipped to be able to be successful, which I know you are. You're just growing by leaps and bounds, a year and 7 some months into this new business. Some of the ways you're staying equipped is, first of all, your faith. Your faith is very important to you, and the sense of you take care of yourself, whether that's exercise, outside life. And then you show up with personalized, you're being equipped by seeing each dealership, each individual staff member as unique, and therefore needing to be responded to in unique sort of ways, as you care for them. That's
Yeah.
awesome. You've taken us through being wise, being equipped, and then we are still yet in a gender biased world. It's what I work with. You and I have been in coursework together, just learning, what are some of those realities? How do we show up as women with our full transforming influence out there in the world? Because we know we have gifts to share. You are in this world, this marine world. You're a captain. It seems like that would be pretty male heavy. Tell us about, are there any obstacles you've come up against through your experience in the marine world that you think was different because you were a woman?
Yes. Yes, I do work in a very male dominated industry, predominantly not just males, but Caucasian males.
Wow.
And I have gone through a lot of challenges. And without going into details, these are words that were not even a part of my vocabulary when I first moved to the United States. But pay disparity, racism, male chauvinism, sexism, of course. But I think, as we go back to how do you show up your authentic self for others, I think it's also I would be if I fail to mention this, it's just the realization is you also have to make sure that you are surrounded by people who value you, who empower you, whether they're males or females. And that has a tremendous influence as well, on your growth, no matter what industry you work in.
I love that. Absolutely. If there's any men on the call, know that we love you and we need you too.
Yes,
This
yes.
is all about each human being being able to show up with the gifts that we were given, to be able to develop them, to be able to fail and keep moving forward and learn from what we've done and just be our true human self. And so women need women, but women need supportive, sponsoring, mentoring, friendship in men. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And always be receptive to that feedback, whether you want to hear it or not. It's very important to those people that you lean on, like you are very influential in my life, not just personally, but in my business growth. I feel like it's very important for you to be open to opinions, especially for those with experience. But no matter what, trust your gut. Always trust your instincts.
I like
And if there is a thought in your heart, is there the thought in the back of your head, like, speak your truth and just always stay true to who you are. And I feel like I always make it a very big point for anyone that crosses my path, that they know that they are beautifully and wonderfully made. And I am just here to help you reach your fullest potential.
And a no might just mean not yet until they're ready for your services or
Exactly.
meet their unique services. Awesome. Steph, just two more questions, if we may. How are you defining success in this new business, in this business? You're traveling, you're keeping up with so many trainings, individual coachings, sales. What is success to you right now?
Success to me is being very well-rounded based on my personal goals, and that is in and outside of corporate America. It could be something as small as, I want to learn how to grow vegetables, and just seeing that plant grow, maybe a few dead ones. He wants to not put it on the ground.
Vegetables? Are you giving a real example?
Yes, I am giving a real example. Yes.
How real?
Yeah, I want to make my mom and my grandmother proud. I mean, like I said, we grew up in the farmland in Puerto Rico, and I just don't want to I don't want them to be ashamed of me, all jokes aside. But I feel like just give it your all. Don't be afraid to try new things.
Mm.
And I feel like success to me it's not having the title of owning my own business, honestly.
Okay.
It's more about, like, I just received a text message this morning from a young lady that just started in the closing operations of the dealership, and she just received her first approval with the lender. And that was like last Saturday. And today, this morning, was the closing. She was nervous. It was her first closing ever. And just seeing her be able to get that transaction to the finish line, that's
Mm,
what I define as success. Is okay, I am empowering this person, I am sharing my knowledge. If I can do it, they can do it.
yeah.
And just being able to see their growth. Another example is individuals being able to make a decision on a transaction for what's best for the customer
Mm,
without me having to tell them what that is. So, hey, this is the vessel that they're interested in. Here is what the customer's credit profile may look like, and I do know these are the lenders that I have available. I'm thinking this lender is going to provide them with the most favorable terms. What do you think? So they've already answered, they know the answer, but they're still coming to you kind of like to check that little box. And I feel like those conversations are proof that you are empowering them. And by me empowering others is what I define as success.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. I see your coaching heart there, your teacher heart, and also just your love of human beings there in wanting to celebrate with them too.
Thank
And keep
you.
me updated about the vegetables then
Oh,
too.
yes, I
One is
will.
to get really hot and it's a little harder to grow vegetables. Okay. I suppose Puerto Rico has its warm areas too, though.
Yes.
One final question. Secret sauce, when we think in terms of women in business, women in leadership, being wise, getting equipped, winning, what success means to you. You've said many awesome, good points, but how would you just bubble it down to what's the secret sauce for anyone listening today? And they're like, man, I want to be able to do that too. It's Stephanie. What do I do?
Yeah. I'll reiterate that I have a strong faith in God and God has my back. That's
Okay.
number one and will always be number one.
Mm,
Number two, trust your gut, trust your instincts. Don't worry about others' opinions. Don't worry about where you should be. Maybe they have a say in what you should be doing or do things differently. Just trust yourself, stay true to you, who you are, and also ensure that you are surrounded by positivity. I feel like just like you want to trust your gut when you're making a decision. There's always a little voice in your heart that tells you who is right in your life and who it's time to, maybe they were just a part of a season in your life. It's now for you, in order for you to blossom. It's time to surround yourself by others who are going to help you. Or maybe my mom, there's a saying that my mom always says, it's better to be alone than in bad company.
wow.
So just be very aware of those little voices and follow them. And I feel like we all have a gift. We're all just blessed by being who we are. And in order for you to be fully happy and well-rounded, you just have to trust who you are, and everything else falls into place.
Trust who you are, trust in your faith. For you, it's God, and surround yourself with those positive people that make you better. Be willing to let go of any of the negativity in your life. Yeah, we have
Yes.
to remember to let that go.
Yes.
Well, Stephanie, it has been such a pleasure to be with you, president and founder of EH2 Marine Business Solutions. How do people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about what is this you do, Stephanie? How can I learn?
Yeah, so they can follow my website and they can check it. There's a lot of great information on there, which is eh2osolutions.com.
Okay.
I am also on LinkedIn, on same EH2O Marine Business Solutions. You can find our platform on Facebook, Instagram. We even have a TikTok, YouTube, and I'm happy to share my personal contact information on this call. If anybody would like to just maybe chit chat one-on-one in private, it is 813-919-9605. I'm always happy to help any way that I can.
Wow, you are very trusting. Way to go, girl. That's
Thank
great.
you.
Well, and thanks again. We have another Will Rise interview next Wednesday with Leandra Yates. She'll be bringing the education K to 12 world in play. Last week, we enjoyed Macy Troyer from a social media agency, Goldie. And so thanks again, Stephanie, for being our guest today at WilRise. And may everyone on the call today remember that you have full transforming influence and that you indeed can get wise, be equipped, and win as a woman in business. I'm Dawn Yoder Graber, host of WilRise, and we thank you for joining us today. Stay in touch.
Bye bye.